We're celebrating. I mean, school's out for summer. Okay, I mean that is so exciting. Like who's just really excited? Like who's just beyond excited already? Okay, who's like, no, I love school and I wish it would go all year long. Don't raise your hand. You get beat up. No, just teasing. No, I'm just teasing. All right, but no, some people love school, right? Right? Just love school.
I love it.
Yeah, like keeps you sane. Yeah, but you guys go to BC though. Yeah. Yeah, okay, never mind. All right. Hi. Are you excited school's over? Done? Yeah. Finished? No? No. Yeah, I know.
One more year.
Right, one more year and then finito? Is that the right Spanish word for finish? Am I right? I don't know. Okay, all right, working on it. But anyway, it's really good. So we got some guests here today, standing around and just observing. We have a youth pastor here from Nova Scotia. His name is Alex, waving at you right now. And we also got Byron from Youth for Christ, who's also here. He was here in the first service, and I guess he didn't get enough of my message. He wants to hear it again. I don't know, but I could have gave him the script, and he could have worked on it better. But here's the deal. If you are here for the very first time, and we want to give you a warm welcome, and as usual, if this is your first Sunday with us in the Vibe, you can head back to our juice bar, and you can get a free drink. That's what we do. But speaking of new people, next Sunday, we have all the grade 5s moving up next Sunday. You want to know how many grade 5s are potentially moving up? 26? 56. Okay, we have 56, okay? That's huge, all right? And so that means, we are going to break some serious numbers, but it's not about the numbers. We have an opportunity when these younger students come up. Who are my grade 6s this year? Like, where are you? Wave at me. Yeah, there you are. You know how that felt, right? First time coming in, right? And you guys done so well. And we're the grade 7s. Where are some of the grade 7s? I see you there, all right? And so you also knew how it felt. So next weekend, next Sunday, when they're going to be nervous, okay? And so what I want you to do is make sure you go over and say hi to them and help them feel welcome. I was down into the children's ministry a couple weeks ago, and I was clear with them. I said, hey, students, you're not coming up into their youth ministry. You're coming into your youth ministry. So this is where they belong, and we need to do our best to really welcome them. Are you with me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Yeah. Oh my gosh, did you see that? Whoa! Wow, that was awesome! Hey, you ever missed something because you weren't paying attention?
I was paying attention.
Were you paying attention? But have you ever missed something because you were distracted? Like, have you ever had those moments where you're, in your phone or talking to a friend, and all of a sudden someone goes, "Whoa! Did you see that? That just happened," and you completely missed it, right? I don't know about you, but I don't like missing out. Okay, I really, really don't. I don't like missing out. I love being where the action is. And but I'm easily distracted, okay? Like total. Some people say squirrel. I think some days there's a monkey in my brain with the tamarines just doing this, la 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 la, and and I'm just like all over the place. For example, there's a time when we were in Guatemala and we were in a town called Antigua, and I'm really excited to be able to take the mission trip team to this exact same spot I'm going to share the story with, and it's called a cafe, and it's called Sky Cafe. And it's right in Antigua, and you're on top of this building, and when you look across that village and you look into the mountains, everything's black. Everything's just pitch black. But over there somewhere in that darkness, 14 kilometers away, there's a volcano, and it's active, right? And every now and then this volcano will just go boom, and it will just cough up lava, okay? And it's the coolest thing ever. So here we are, we're sitting, right, enjoying a coffee, looking into the darkness, waiting for the boom. And I'm waiting, and we're waiting, and we're talking back and forth like this because we don't want to miss it, okay? And then all of a sudden the moment came. Guess what happened, Jill? I got distracted. And the moment I looked away, the second I looked away, what happened? Boom! I mean, it wasn't boom. It was boom. It was huge. Missed the whole thing. And Mike and all my friends, oh my gosh, look at that, that's awesome. And I look up, and all I see was the remnants of the explosion. And I'm sitting there, and you got to understand something. We weren't just sitting there for 5 minutes waiting. We weren't just sitting there for 10 minutes waiting, okay? This was an extended period of time of just staring into the darkness, waiting for something to happen. And that split second, I took my eyes off of it, something happened. Ever happened to you? Great. Okay, 2 people. All right, so hopefully not. But here's the thing. Sadly, many of us are so distracted by our distractions that we completely miss out on seeing Jesus. I want that to sink in for a second. Because let's be real. We all have this level of distraction. We all have these things in our lives that we lean into to distract us from things that we should do, right? Okay? Anybody here ever gotten lost into the endless scrolling of Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever you are, and just next, who's with me? Right? And all of a sudden you wake up and you realize, wow, 3 days have gone by. Okay, maybe not that long, but that's what it feels like. An hour goes, 2 hours. How about you here play video games? Who are my gamers? Who are my gamers in the room? All right, you start the game, right? And all of a sudden your parents are like, you've been playing it for hours. No, it's just been 5 minutes. And you wake up and you got a full beard on. I don't know, right? So it's been so long, right? But so many times we get so distracted by our distractions that we completely miss out on seeing Jesus, as if we were blind and sitting in the dirt. Welcome to week 3. Welcome to week 3 of our series, Lessons from a Blind Man. And we've been talking about this guy, and this is, in the first week, I talked about, this guy named Blind Bartimaeus and how he would wait on Jesus. And I said to you that as we position ourselves, that we need to wait upon the Lord. It's so important for us to wait upon God, and then as we wait, there's 3 things that we should be doing. Number 1, as we wait upon God, we need to worship. Okay? The problem is many of us, when we're waiting upon the Lord, we're not worshiping, we're distracted. And and then we look away, and then we miss it. So you got to be worshiping. You got to be reminding yourself of who God is and what He can and will do. And number 3, you got to be in the Word. And then last week, give it up for Carter, right? Who last week dropped an incredible message, and all about, as you're waiting, tell God how you feel, right? And he was talking about this word lamenting. He can handle it. But I'm mad at God. Fine, be mad. Let Him know how you feel. God, what I'm going through, experiencing, dealing with really sucks, and I don't like it. Let God know how you feel. And today, in part 3, I want to teach you how to press in. So for those of you, you've missed out on the last 2 parts, we're going to go back to the story. So we're going to read the story, okay? And as it is, remember, this is real people, a real time, and a real point in history. This is not a make-believe story. This is actual events that happen with real people. And it says this, okay, in Mark chapter 10, it says they came to Jericho. Who were the they? Who were the they? Perfect. Jesus and his disciples. Okay, so they came to Jericho. That was the plan. They showed up, okay? And as Jesus and his disciples, together with a large crowd, were leaving the city. Wait, stop. Hold on a second. So it says they showed up to Jericho. We have no idea how long they were in Jericho. Was it a day? Was it a weekend? Was it a couple of hours? We have no idea. But what we do know is that these guys, they came in, Jesus and his disciples, they went into Jericho, and something happened. Okay? Because commotion happened because a large crowd were leaving the city. And a large crowd wasn't chasing Jesus out of the city, okay? Right? But they were leaving the city, okay? So this large crowd, we want more. And then all of a sudden, as they're leaving the city, this blind man named? Perfect, right? Was sitting by the roadside, right? Begging, okay? So automatically, we just know a couple things. Bartimaeus, he's blind, he's a beggar. That's how he provides for himself. He sits there in the dirt, hand out. Okay? And this is who he is. Now, whatever happened, Jesus got on Bartimaeus' radar, okay? Because he's paying attention. He knows some things are going on. He's hearing what's happening in the city. And he positioned himself to be in the right moment to call out to Jesus because he heard what Jesus was doing. So he positioned himself, and he heard that Jesus of Nazareth, and he began to shout, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Check out verse 48. Many rebuked him and told him, "Be quiet. Just stop. You're causing a scene." But he shouted all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And then Jesus stopped and called him. And so they called to the blind man, cheer up. That's interesting, cheer up. Why did he need to be cheering up? And I'm parked on this a little bit. Because see, we're told he was calling out. And see, he didn't just call it once, he called it multiple times. And when people were telling him to be quiet, he raised his voice. And I'm just kind of thinking, was there a sense of panic? Was there a sense of emotion? Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy on me. And it was so evident. They're like, whoa, 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 cheer up. It's okay. Get on your feet. He's calling you. We're going to talk about that next week. Throwing his cloak aside, he jumped to his feet and he came to Jesus. Jesus asked him, what do you want me to do for you? The blind man said, Rabbi, I want to see. 52, go, Jesus said, your faith has healed you. Immediately, he received his sight and followed Jesus along the road. Look what happened. Look what happened. Bartimaeus, he started to call out to Jesus. Okay? He started to call out to Jesus. And the moment he started to call out to Jesus, go back to the first slide, right? The moment he started calling out to Jesus, immediately he was hit in opposition. Immediately he was told, hey, would you just shut up? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in those moments where you felt you needed to say something, you had something to say, but your voice wasn't being heard? It was almost like what you had to say in that moment wasn't important. It was like in that moment, your opinion really didn't matter. You ever have those moments where you felt unappreciated, not valued? How did that make you feel? Not that great. You're like, I have a point here. I have something I want to say, but someone's not listening to me. It's almost like everyone around you is telling you, be quiet. And I could just imagine what Bartimaeus must have felt in that moment. Actually, the scripture says that, that they had to tell him to cheer up. So the emotions must have been really real. You ever have real emotions? You ever have those moments when you break out of your desperateness? Where you just get so overwhelmed, with everything that's going on, everything that's expected of you, and you feel like in that moment, you're just going to break. You been there? I have. Sucks. When you look at everything that needs to be accomplished, and some of you felt that tension over the last couple of weeks. You're looking at your exams, you're looking at your papers, you're looking at everything that you need to do. And you're trying to do this, you're trying to do this, you're trying to do this, and all of a sudden you get to that point, you're like, I just can't handle this anymore. And I need someone to listen. See, the problem is we don't do that so well. What we do is that we cave in on ourselves. When everything tsunamis over us, instead of calling out for help, we feel like that we're told to be quiet. And so what do? We distract ourselves from the main thing with our distractions. And we lean into it and go, all right, I'll find something. And sometimes I find that we just take our technology, and I'm not against technology. I love technology. I can aimlessly scroll for hours and send a whole bunch of stupid reels to my friends, okay? I'm with you, right? But sometimes it's just like, it's a coping mechanism just to feel something, just to distract me from all the other stuff that's going around you. Let me tell you something. When you start getting serious about your relationship with Jesus, when you start getting serious about praying, when you start getting serious, like, I want my relationship with God to matter. I want my relationship with God to work. I want to connect with God. And when you start positioning yourself to wait upon the Lord, and you start moving yourself in an attitude of worship, when you start reminding yourself of who God is, and when you start getting into Scripture, and you start telling God how you feel, let me tell you something. Let me promise you, when you start getting that serious in your relationship with God, distractions will come. Man, they will come. Have you ever prayed and then think about the weirdest thing? Come on, have you ever been praying and you try to pray, and as you're praying, all of a sudden you're like, why am I thinking about that? I haven't thought about that in years. Anyone else with me, or am I just the only one that's crazy? Okay, all right. It happens all the time. I'll be praying, Liam, seriously, full story. I like driving and praying, okay? I'm not closing my eyes. I don't do that, right? No, I won't try it. Okay, right? Stop encouraging me. Okay, so I'm driving and I'm praying, hey, God. My brain blanks out. You ever been there? There's nothing happening. It's not even a thought, okay? Alex, it's just nothing. It's just empty void of nothingness in my brain. And I'm like, hey, God, we need to talk. And I don't know what to say. You ever been there? right? And it's crazy. It's like this red line, and right, or you just get so distracted. Listen, when you start getting real about your relationship with Jesus, you start wanting to live that God part of you out loud, like we encourage you to do here at HSM. I'm going to promise you, not only will your own mind be against you sometimes, but the world around you will also be against you. Because it just seems like when you and I start getting serious and we want to live our faith out loud, that the world around us says, shut up. We don't want that. And so many times, as we start calling it to God to change our schools, to change our lives, to change our families, and we try to step up and be the people of God that we're called to be, it just seems like everything that we see online, everything we see around us is telling us, hey, you can't live God out loud at that level. You can't push that on anyone else. And so we allow those distractions to continue to keep us quiet. Because I guarantee you the moment that Bartimaeus started calling out and people told him to be quiet, he was discouraged. In that moment, remember, he's blind. So he can't see what's happening around him. He didn't have this perspective that you and I have where he go, yeah, I think Jesus heard me. Think about it. Close your eyes. Close them tight. Come on, close them tight. Squeeze it. Remember, you're sitting on the side of the road and you're calling out for someone who you believe that can help you, and all you hear is other voices telling you to be quiet and trying to push you aside, and you can't tell what's happening. You don't know how far the person that you're leaning in on is near you or going away from you, and that sense of panic. And so what do you do? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You would do exactly what Bartimaeus did. You would call out louder. You would press in. And that's what I want to encourage you to do this morning. Press in. When all the distractions come around you, when you're told not to speak out, everything that's going on, I just want to encourage you, press in. Let's be real this morning. Let's be completely honest and blunt this morning. The devil does not want you and I growing and maturing in our relationship with God. He doesn't. He does not want you to start developing a lifestyle of prayer because he knows the power that's in prayer, okay? He knows what can happen when a teenager starts to pray, okay? He knows what's going to happen in your life when you start praying. When you start getting serious about your relationship with God and you start leaning in and start building a relationship with God through your communication, right? God says out of his glorious unlimited resources, he's going to strengthen you. He's going to equip you. He's going to give you what you need. And the devil's like, no, I can't risk that. So what am I going to do? I will distract them with everything. Because I can't have you praying. I can't, not me, the devil, okay? All right? I want you to pray, okay? I can't have you praying. I can't have you praying. I can't have you girls praying. I can't have these girls praying. I definitely can't have any of you praying, because if you guys get serious and you start praying, you can change some stuff. And so the number one thing the devil is going to try and do is discourage you, distract you from cultivating a lifestyle of prayer. And let me be honest with you, because you know I love you and you know I care about you. You gotta. I don't want you just to slap the name tag on and say, I'm a Christian. I've said to you guys before, okay? You know what? Being a Christian, great. But are you a follower of Jesus? Because that's the game changer. Anybody can call themselves a Christian. But man, becoming a follower of Jesus, building a relationship with him, that's what matters. And that's what Bartimaeus was wanting in this moment. He knew his need. He knew what he needed. He knew that there was no other hope but Jesus. But why? Let's stop for a second. Let's just kind of contemplate something. Why don't we press in? Okay? What's holding us back? You're like, well, Roger, you just told us the devil. Yes, okay, I get that. But what about you? Okay? So, because maybe the reason why we don't press in is because we don't want to get too close to God because we're afraid of seeing. See, blind Bartimaeus, his whole thing, I want to see. We're going to figure that out next week. That was his goal. I want to see. I'm tired of begging. But maybe you're not. Maybe you're okay with your blindness. And I'm going to use the word spiritual blindness. And I'm not picking on you. You know my heart, all right? Maybe you don't want to see what you really need to see. Maybe what it is that you're afraid if you get too close to Jesus, that you'll realize your desperate need for Jesus. Maybe you get too close to Jesus, you'll see the sin that you need to deal with. Maybe you get too close to Jesus and your eyes are opened up, you realize that habit that you have is actually a lot worse than you think. Or maybe you don't want your eyes open up because if I get too close to Jesus, he's going to reveal to me the broken parts of me, and I don't know how to deal with that, and that scares me. Let me tell you something. Jesus will never judge you, and we'll see that next week when he calls Bartimaeus. He'll never judge you. He'll never put you down. He'll always lift you up when you call on him. So, why don't we press in? Because I think if we all asked each other here, we would say, I love the Lord. Like, I love God. I love the idea of God. I love the idea of salvation. I love the idea of my sins are forgiven. I love the idea I get to go to heaven. I love that. But maybe, check this line out. It's not that we don't love God. It's that we love the world more. Let that sink in for a second. Like, I love God, but I love all the stuff in the world. I love being able to pray at night and make sure my sins are forgiven, so if Jesus comes back at nighttime, I get to go to heaven. I kind of like that. I kind of like that little security blanket. But I also like living for the world. I like being like everyone else. I like fitting in. And I think this is something that you have to wrestle with yourself. Because see, blind Bartimaeus, he's sitting there in the dirt, blind, begging for whatever is around him. And he says, I'm done. I'm done begging for the scraps of the world. There's a guy that's walking past me who has the ability to heal me, and I want to be healed. Question, do you? Because see, so many times it feels like we're so content and sitting in the dirt of the world, blinded by the world's systems, with our hand out, trying to find something to satisfy. And let me tell you something, this world doesn't have anything to satisfy you. It does. It says it does. It screams out, hey, you do this, and you do this, and you be this, and you be that. You get the idea, and you keep scrolling through everything you see online, and it seems like this great life, this great opportunity, and you're like, I want that. And then Jesus says, give me your life. You're like, because he says, give me your life and trust me. But the problem is, we're like, but we want all this, and we want to be known for that. And I can be blunt with you, it's just like we're so content of sitting in the dirt of the world looking for something to satisfy when Jesus is right there. He's right there. He's right there. All you have to do is call out to him. That's it. That's all we have to do. Listen to this right here. Romans chapter 10, verse 13. I love this, okay? It says, everyone, that's you. Look at your friend and say, you're the everyone. You're the everyone, that's you. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be what? What will they be? What? What? Saved. Don't you get it? Here's blind Bartimaeus says, I'm going to call on this guy. I don't really know everything about him. I just heard that he's able to do great things, and I need those great things. And he calls on the name of the Lord. And Jesus is right here. And listen, Bartimaeus' situation was different. Yes, it was different. He saw Jesus in the flesh and blood. He saw God, all-powerful, universe creator God, wrapped up in flesh and blood in the person of Jesus, right? And so many times we say, man, I wish I could walk up to a personal Jesus like that. But here's the deal. You can walk up to a personal Jesus just like that because Jesus is here through the power of his Holy Spirit. He is here. He's here. Don't you get it? He's here. And all he's doing is waiting on you to call out to him, to recognize your need, that you need Jesus. Check it out. Bartimaeus kept shouting. This was his opportunity. No one was going to silence him because Jesus was near. And I don't pretend to understand why he had to call out so desperately. I don't understand why he had to scream to get God's attention. Maybe it was just to prove his desperation. Because I'm sure Jesus heard him the first time. And I want you to know that the first time you called out to Jesus, he heard you as well. And he's listening. See, verse 49 says that Jesus stopped and said to the crowd, call him. Because as soon as when we press in on Jesus, things happen. Things happen. And I think some of you here this morning, you need something to happen in your life. And I don't pretend to understand everything that's going on. I know a few things. But I think some of you here this morning, you just need to press in. You just need to be real with God and say, God, I need you. God, I'm tired of trying to survive on what the world has. I'm tired of begging to look in and fit in with the world. I need you to open my eyes so I may see. Don't you know you are not called to beg for the things of the world? You are the sons and daughters of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. You are his masterpiece. You belong to him. Your identity is in Christ and Christ alone. Why? Why are we so friggin' desperate for the world when we have everything we need in Jesus? All we gotta do is, hey, God, here I am, and I need you. Want to stand with me?